Steve Malzberg.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom.
I'm a graphic designer.
College freshman.
Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, when we voted for him in 2008 and 2012, we promised to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, and what a great way to start off Malzberg's Media Madness with our buddy Noel Sheppard, the associate editor at Newsbusters.org. Hey, Noel. Hey, Noel.
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you now. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good, good. That was so funny. You highlighted that in a piece at Newsbusters the other day. That was what, Second City?
Second City, and for those that potentially have forgotten because it's been so long since they've been on TV, I mean, they used to actually be on, I think it was NBC on either Friday night.
Yeah, John Candy, right, and all those guys.
John Candy, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy.
Yep.
Great, absolutely funny stuff, and this was Second City was originally in Chicago. And actually, for folks that don't recall, much of the original Saturday Night Live cast, what's his name, John Belushi, was a Second Cityer. So was Dan Aykroyd. I think Jane Curtin also was Second City. So just a fabulous group, and one that you would typically consider to be quite liberal.
Yeah.
And here they are, just going after the Obama bots. You know, let's go to war. Let's fund this war.
Well, we got one more
Obama.
cut. We got one more cut of this, Noel. I want to play it. This will be cut number 31.
World War III is a very important, very progressive war that Obama tells me is very important. So it must be.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008 in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV. And any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us.
It is pretty shocking that, and I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't know they were still around. But this is a great piece and great stuff. Good find.
Well, and then it continues. The 1.6 trillion that we raise will help create a war that truly puts the liberal in neoliberal. There'll be millions of troops, thousands of organic grass-fed bombs, hybrid Prius tanks, rockets controlled by iPads, and drones that play the Lumineers while they attack. It's really, really well done stuff. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. And shocking again, coming from a comedy troupe that one has to believe is quite liberal. So if they're seeing the hypocrisy of the Obama bots marching us to war, it's pretty extraordinary.
Well, absolutely, and it doesn't really stop there. Why don't we continue to our friend Jay Leno, who, has, except when he sits and talks with Obama, has been critical of Obama, especially since it was announced he's leaving. Let's go to cut 22. Cut 22.
A little cooler today. It wasn't so bad today. It wasn't quite so hot out today. It's still a little warm, but you can tell fall is coming to the east, you know. The leaves are changing faster than the White House position on Syria. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there you go again.
Yeah, and actually he went on for about 2 or 3 minutes just railing on the Obama administration and Biden and Kerry and this was, frankly, I thought that was Jay at his political finest. I mean, it was really a marvelous moment. I'm trying to remember if it was Monday or Tuesday. Really great stuff, and again, it makes you wonder why, a month ago or so when he had Obama on, why he wasn't harder. But maybe he feels that's not his role, and he'll hit Obama when he's not around. Maybe he's right. Maybe the the president is due more respect on a late night talk show than that.
Yeah, well, maybe so, but and again, it doesn't stop here. I mean, you provided over the course of this week, Noel, many examples of criticism of the president coming from not where you would expect it to come from. And here we have Tavis Smiley. Of PBS fame with his radio show that he does with what's his name, Cornel West.
Cornel West.
Yeah, and listen to cut number 12.
It's one thing to honor Martin with our words in Washington one day, and then 48 hours later start making plans to dishonor him with our deeds in Syria. Here you have a war president with a peace prize. Once again, the parallel between King and Obama just doesn't measure up. He ought to just take that bust out of the Oval Office if you're going to dishonor Martin in this way, particularly after standing where you stood on Wednesday.
All right, now, just so you know, I don't think we should go into Syria at all. Having said that, I'm surprised at what Smiley said, and you picked up on it, and it's certainly a great story. But I don't understand Smiley. I don't know, and you could address both Smiley saying this and what he actually said. I don't understand Smiley. I know that the juxtapositioning is probably what he's talking about, that, he gave the speech on King Day and now he's talking about war with Syria. But I didn't know that you're supposed to live your life by Martin Luther King Jr. and don't do anything that might offend or differ from Martin Luther King Jr., or you don't deserve to have his bust in your office. I don't get that.
Well, look, Tavis and Cornel West have been tremendously hard on Obama for a variety of issues, but certainly the drone strikes and his whole foreign policy, which they both morally, and I respect them for this, they both morally think that Obama's foreign policy is totally wrong, and it goes tremendously against King's principles. And I think that what they were discussing here is we're still kind of in the post 50-year anniversary of the march kind of haze here, glow. So I think that he's still. I think they're both very, very much offended by what transpired at that 50th anniversary. They both were very outspoken about what Sharpton had to say, and referred to, I think Cornel West referred to Sharpton as Obama's plantation boy.
Yep.
Pretty bad stuff. So I think that what's kind of neat.
I think he called him a house Negro, actually.
I think he called him a house Negro. Yeah. So I think what's neat from these two is they're very, very progressive. They're very, very far to the left, but they're being consistent with their views, and they're willing to, as African Americans, shockingly enough, they're willing to come out and talk about when this president is naked. And there's not a lot in the media, certainly not a lot of black people in the media, that are willing to do this. I give them both a lot of credit.
Yeah, no, I guess, like I said, I do too. I just wonder about his, almost requiring Obama to have some kind of allegiance to King's doctrine, if you will, or beliefs in carrying out his presidency.
Would that necessarily be a bad thing? I mean, let's assume that. I think you and I would both agree that potentially one of the big problems in our society, particularly as it pertains to race, is that nobody has stepped into King's footsteps and followed his real beliefs.
Oh, no. Race-wise, I wish Obama would be more like King and less like Sharpton and Jay. Absolutely. But when it comes to foreign policy, I don't know that you could really. But you're, like I said, what you pointed out and bringing this to the public was great stuff. Now, here's another one that surprised me because he doesn't do it all that much. Joe Scarborough defining Obama's foreign policy and how he's handled Syria in cut number 14.
It's Mr. Magoo's foreign policy. This guy's stumbling through history, and he couldn't be doing it at a worse time. The Washington Post, even in the last hour, the Washington Post posted, their editorial board said that Obama enters this speech tonight in a deep political hole of his own digging. His foreign policy has been stumbling, improvised, and incoherent. I think that's putting it politely.
It's Mr. Magoo's foreign policy. That line grabbed me.
Yeah, no, Joe in the past couple of weeks has been very, very hard on Obama. And, look, we conservatives, we give Joe a hard time because we don't think he's as conservative as we'd like, and we think that he sometimes appears to be towing a Democrat line to, make his MSNBC viewers and buddies happy. But he clearly is not pleased with this president as far as his foreign policy, and actually, he suggested that this man is worse than Jimmy Carter, and that's saying something.
Okay, well, we're talking to Noel Sheppard, by the way, the associate editor of Newsbusters.org, here on the Steve Malzberg Show, our segment we call Malzberg's Media Madness. And you wrote today about Joe Klein. And something that Joe Klein wrote, Time Magazine's Joe Klein, that the consequences of Obama's amateur display ripple out across the world. So here again, more criticism from the left. And Klein, we're talking hardcore left.
We're talking hardcore left. I mean, this was rather surprising coming from Klein. He also said, as it pertains to Obama's Syria policy, one of the more stunning and inexplicable displays of presidential incompetence that I've ever witnessed. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point in time, we have to conclude that Joe Klein is a racist. I mean, there's no other way of, I mean, he's got to be. You can't say this stuff about Obama and not be racist. Although, is it okay to say negative things about Obama and not be racist if you're a liberal? Maybe that's the case.
Were you the one at Newsbusters who wrote about Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins?
Yes.
Okay, they were asked. They were at a film festival, and they were asked about what they thought of the the impending action or the threat of action against Syria, and they just the folks were told they were unavailable for comment.
Unavailable for comment. Yes, the folks at the Hollywood Reporter went to the Toronto Film Festival that's going on right now, and they wanted to get some comments about the war from Hollywoodans there. And they, were specifically trying to. Now, Robbins and Sarandon are not together anymore,
right?
But they were both at this festival, and their representative said they're not available for comment. They couldn't find. The Hollywood Reporter couldn't find anybody at the festival to speak about the Syrian war. They actually, let me rephrase that. They did find someone who was going to agree to talk to them, and then the producer of the film that this individual was involved with said, don't do it.
Unbelievable. And that dovetails with another story that was on Newsbusters. And again, I apologize if it was your story or not. Ed Asner, who said that the reason people in Hollywood won't speak out against Obama in Syria is that they don't want to be viewed as racist.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting thing for him to say, but I'm not sure I agree with that. Because look, Hollywoodans have cover from racism.
I like that, Hollywoodans. I like that.
Yeah, Hollywoodans have cover from racism and homophobia, right? There's no way anybody in Hollywood, certainly not Alec Baldwin, could possibly be homophobic, even if he goes on a homophobic rant. No, he really didn't mean that. So, and I think the same is true for racism. Nobody believes that anybody in Hollywood could possibly be racist. So I think he's wrong on this. I think it's just more of a Bill Clinton type of a situation where, if you remember, irrespective of his serial adultery and misogyny, the women in Hollywood and the National Organization of Women were never going to speak ill about Bill Clinton because they agreed with everything else about his agenda. And I think that's the case here, is they agree with virtually all of the Obama agenda, or at least a tremendous amount of it, and they're just uncomfortable speaking out against their hero.
Yeah, no,
and it's sad.
I agree. I agree with you. Now, one more, and this is something you wrote yesterday at Newsbusters.org, and the Obama speech. More people watched Barack Obama's Syria address on Fox News than on CNN and MSNBC combined, and I think that speaks volumes.
I think it really does. I mean, we don't have the numbers yet from ABC, CBS, and NBC, so we don't really know what those numbers are. But from a cable standpoint, Fox had 4 million viewers as the president was speaking. CNN had, I think
almost
it was
2, yeah, 1.9.
1.9 million, and MSNBC had 1.2 million. So you add them up, and Fox had almost 1 million more. So you ask yourself, well, why would that be? I mean, the media are constantly telling us that Fox is full of Obama bashers 24/7, and the only people that watch Fox are Obama haters. So you would have thought that this wouldn't have drawn all that well on Fox. Is it possible that people didn't want to tune into CNN or MSNBC because they actually wanted to hear some critical analysis of what the president said? as opposed to just the echo chamber that exists on CNN and certainly on MSNBC. I think it's possible. I mean, it's interesting. What we've seen all year long is on significant news events, people are turning to Fox. They're not turning to MSNBC, and they're not necessarily turning to CNN, not in the numbers that they used to.
Right.
So I wonder whether, irrespective of how the media claim Fox is just a right-wing echo chamber, I wonder if people are coming to the realization that regardless of the center-right slant, you really do get significantly more actual analysis of the news on Fox as opposed to just a liberal echo chamber. And maybe people even in the middle, maybe people even on the left. I mean, I've got liberal friends who watch Fox they don't like many of the commentators, but they watch Fox because they say, indeed, you really do get analysis that you don't get elsewhere.
You do, because you have, and I've said this all along, and I have no axe to grind with Fox, no, they don't pay me any money. You really do have so many people on the left, either as hosts or paid contributors, giving analysis opposite someone on the right, whereas MSNBC, that just doesn't exist, and CNN, even if they're on the right, they're basically watered down from the right. So it's interesting, very interesting, and always interesting. I wish you a very happy, healthy New Year, easy fast, and all that stuff on Yom Kippur, Noel, and thank you very much. Yes, and back to you and your family, and we'll speak to you next week, my friend.